Oh my goodness, it's the O Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, CW. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to hit that bell on YouTube to get notified when new episodes go live. And subscribe to the podcast on any and all platforms. Today, we're going to talk about who the next WWE 2K Showcase Mode star should be. WWE 2K23 is an okay game. It's pretty fun if you play it with friends, trust me. Lots of laughs, especially if you don't take it super seriously. There's obviously complaints of stuff like the My Faction mode that hides content behind a weird game and paywall. But all that stuff withstanding, if you just want to wrestle things, it's really the most mainstream way to do that. In that game, there is a 2K Showcase mode with John Cena, aka John Cena. And in it, you run through his career and a lot of his career highlights with an interesting caveat where you play as Cena and you have to defeat, your opponent. I think before you had to play it the other way around. No, I don't remember actually. I'm blanking on it. They made a big deal out of how the matches were set up. You had to follow through with all of the key moments of the match. But he kept saying something like my opponents won't be easier. It doesn't matter. Basically, you just play all of his big matches from, RVD winning the title off of him to facing Brock Lesnar like 5 different times. I believe you wrestle AJ Styles. I can't remember who was in the mode, but it was a fun mode. It was fun enough. And in it, you unlock maybe 7 versions of John Cena. Quick side note. The 2K games, I have a real problem with the way they handle characters. They like to boast that they have a roster of over X amount of wrestlers. But a lot of those wrestlers, and not a lot, but quite a few of those wrestlers are just duplicates of themselves. Like, they're counting John Cena maybe 5 times. There's 5 different versions of John Cena. All of them should be combined into one John Cena and different attires or swapped versions, The fact that they take up so many just like spots in the roster is disheartening. You're like, oh, this roster is really big, and then you get to John Cena and you're scrolling for 5 seconds. You're like, when do these end? They even made an invisible one. I wish they would have a Kane and then they'd have like maskless Kane. Like, shouldn't that be an attire? I get that they were like, oh, here's one from 2003. Here's an Undertaker from 2003. Here's an Undertaker from 2012. But I still think you can execute that without taking up a roster spot and open up that spot for more legends or whatever. But I guess they just have to they have to fill out the roster so they can put all those other wrestlers in My Faction. Anyway, so in that John Cena showcase, you get to work through his career, see some really cool transitional content where they show video that transitions right into the gameplay mode, which works really well. And it's fun. And I was posed this question by Dad's First Time. Shout out Dad's First Time. What or who should be the 2K Showcase mode star in WWE 2K24? And he gave me a list, and I think two of them in the list have already happened, which was Undertaker and Stone Cold. I believe they had their own legacy mode style showcases before. I know I played the Undertakers before. They had the Undertaker at Mania thing where you beat the streak or something like that, like 4 games ago, and I believe Stone Cold had one as well. I'm blanking on whether or not that's true. But out of the list, let's go through some of the people that I was given, along with people I added myself, and see who would make an awesome 2K Showcase mode star. All right, so number 1, which I think would make it a fantastic 2K Showcase mode star, is Ric Flair. Ric Flair has a very storied history in professional wrestling, and I think if they if 2K was, I was going to say willing, if 2K would invest the time and energy in making a bunch of territory style arenas that, have a better 80s filter than the one that they created for this, I think it would be interesting. And you can get, old school wrestlers put in the game, and you can do territory battles with Ric Flair, have him win the title, have him go across promotions to, be the wheeling, dealing, jet flying, kiss stealing. I'm saying it all wrong, but you know the deal. Have him go to WWE. You can follow him through WCW and then back to WWE. Was it the other way around? Was it WCW to WWE? I don't remember. But such a legendary career would be fun to, have some really cool matches. You can have that match that he had with Jerry Lawler on Raw that Dad's First Time also shared with me. Very good match. I believe I watched that match sitting in my mom's living room. Can't remember. That career would be really, well fleshed out, I would say. And of course, the final match would be him versus Shawn Michaels, where they transition, him saying, do it. And Shawn Michaels crying and saying, I love you. And then cut back to gameplay. And then he gives you the sweet chin music. And you're meant to lose that match. And then, show his quote unquote retirement and then call it a day. I think that'd be a good use of the 2K Showcase mode. Next up on the list is Mick Foley, another person who should get a 2K Showcase mode. Mick Foley has had some of the most brutal matches. You can definitely, stuff the Undertaker's cage match in there and have him toss him off the ring. And if they were able have I don't know if it's video, but it would be video. They would show the video and then transition back to when Mick Foley's running back into the cage, and then you have to climb back up and then go through the top and then get pinned. That'd be fun. You can do the Boiler Room matches. You can do the Many Faces of Foley. That would obviously be the name of the entire showcase mode, the Many Faces of Foley, because you would have to incorporate Cactus Jack. You'd have to incorporate Dude Love. And you'd have to incorporate Mrs. Foley's little boy walking around as GM or the ref or whatever. Mick Foley has had what I would think some of the most success in the Attitude Era. He was the most over for a guy who didn't look like everyone else. When everyone else is jacked to the gills, Mick Foley was a dude. He was a dude love, and that would be a very fun mode that I would love because it would bring back great hardcore matches. Triple H and Randy Orton, I don't know if I would want that. Triple H, maybe. Randy Orton, not so much. I can't remember a match that Randy Orton has ever done, like a legendary match. I'm sure you can name 5, 10, 15 of them. Randy Orton's a walking legend. Dude is going in the Hall of Fame. But I can't remember a single match outside of that terrible Bray Wyatt match. So, yeah. Oh, well, I guess the Kofi Kingston match. I remember because he cussed Kofi, which is pretty funny. And the one where he hit Evan Bourne with the RKO from the top rope. But yeah, no legendary matches pop up in my head. And Triple H has had many, many great matches, but I feel like if they did Triple H, it would be like a faction history or something, because that man has been in nothing but factions. DX, Evolution, The Authority, you name it. He's been in a ton. Two-man power trip. It's been his whole career. Brock Lesnar would be too easy. You'd be able to run through the mode from start to finish pretty quickly because that man is damn near unbeatable in that game. And I think that in the last one on my list is The Rock, who would be really fun, especially in that section in the early 2000s where he was heel Rock and cut all those fantastic promos, just completely burying people like Hulk Hogan, and great times with The Rock. Anyway, who do you think should be the 2K Showcase Mode star in WWE 2K24? Let me know in the comments. Thank you so much for listening, and don't you ever forget.
I'm your friend, but if I ever see you in the ring, I can beat you. Don't you know? Yeah.